Good morning, afternoon, evening, or good night, whenever you're watching this. This is week 8, day 2 of being an MFA classical acting student at LAMDA, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. Tuesday, hence day 2, November the 4th, 2025. So it was a rehearsal day on our histories. We have now read through it. Richard III. We've read through it. We've been given our parts. We received some more cuts over the weekend, so different parts that we will not be performing. And yeah, we're ready to go. So, we had our individual warm-up in John Wood, and it was good. I started working on my note cards so that I can memorize all of my lines. Some of these are fat lines too. They don't even fit on the back. I'll show you when I get there. That one, look how much. Buck, that's me. And then a little bit on the back. Oh shoot. Yeah, so yippee-dippy-doo. So after the warm-up at John Wood, we went up to Top Studio of Collett House, and we did our warm-up with Kirsty. And so we shaked out our body, we did some big stretches, we we stretched our neck to the beat, up, down, then up, then down, up, right, left, up, down, right, left, and then double time, up, down, right, left, up, down, right, left, to some music that she was playing. And then we did the same thing with our chest, front, back, right, left, front, back, right, left, and then back, and then the opposite. And then we did that with our hips as well, back, front, side, side. Then we did a spinal, like a dip. It wasn't quite a spinal roll because it was sped up, but yeah, we did it in 8 counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, just really like hang your body over yourself. It's so warm in here. I don't know how to turn off my heater. I've tried. Unsuccessfully. That heater right there. Boom, boom, boom. And I've been sleeping with the windows open, and yet I'm still warm. But it's okay. I'd rather be warm than dead. Wonderful. Then we discussed the way to deal with emotion, because there's a bunch of characters who go through extreme emotions in this. Richard contemplates his own worth and his own life. Elizabeth, her 2 children are murdered. And then she is wooed by the man who murdered them. And Anne as well. Her husband's killed and then is wooed by the man who murdered him. And with Elizabeth, it's worse because he wants her daughter. It's great. It's great. I need to increase my observation in life. She talked about, because Kirsty was talking about the benefit of bringing your own emotions in. You know, someone said, I can't remember, I didn't write this down, but I think it was Uta Hagen. Yeah, don't bring anything into the process that you haven't processed. Meaning, if you were just in a car accident and it was a traumatic experience and you're trying to use that fear, but you haven't like processed it yourself, it's gonna be uncontrollable. So process your emotions, and then you can use them, and then they're beneficial, and they won't control you. The state of these are just a bunch of random things, because what we did is we talked for an hour, and then we went over the first monologue, this bad boy right here. Now is the winter of our discontent. this prologue as Richard kind of sets forth what's going to happen a little bit. It's not a genuine prologue, but we're using it in our voice to speech class as a prologue. So, sorry, there's a light. There's a car passing by. And so we just worked that the entire time. We worked on the iambic of it. We worked on the consonants and the vowels. We worked on the parsing, the understanding of it, and that's what we did the whole day. And then we're told to do that with every single one of our own lines, which is awesome. I have lots of lines, but it's great. I'm excited for the challenge. I'm worried about memorization, but I'm always a little worried about memorization. Anyway, so these are just basically a bunch of little thoughts and things that she talked about. Kirsty has this style where it's super tangential, and she'll go off on these ideas and these experiences and then come back to the point. So my notes of her class follow that tangential thought process. So what I wrote here, state of being comes from your life, not from your scene. Use what works, right? Meaning, Kirsty talked about an experience where she had to be like really distraught, and so before she would watch like dog pound videos kind of things to make her sad, because she knew that's what worked for her, and that's what brought her the emotion. And then she would go into the scene and then use the given circumstances, but get to that emotional state firsthand. That's a personal note. I'll just keep that one to myself. Haha. You can just wonder. And then these people are living on the edge. We can push these emotions and we can push the state of being, because it's literally so intense, and there's so much life and death. Like, you could be murdered by your brother at any moment. You could be killed or considered treasonous or married to an awful person at any point, right? So we're living on the edge of this kind of traumatic responsive state. And then how can we access these real emotions helpfully and healthfully, So that's kind of what we discussed. And then we talked for an hour about these ideas before getting into the text, which was great. I was worried about it because some people were talking like, oh, we only got 4 weeks left, which is scary, but that's good. It's all good. I trust her and I trust the process. Then she mentioned an anecdote that there's this movie star who had really great flow and could pull out these really good emotional moments, but she couldn't really play the actions, so she couldn't repeat what she'd done. She'd get into these great moments and these great states and then have these wonderful performances, but it wasn't repeatable. It was great for film because you could capture it that one time and then have it, but for stage you have to be able to repeat your process every night. It has to be something you can do. And so yeah, Kirsty called it emotional soup, and that's not what we want. We want to be able to rely on technique and have repeatable processes. Also, play your objectives harder than you think you need to. We need to do the emotional and personal work so that we can do the work of an actor, right? We need to process our emotions, and we need to figure ourselves out and observe and do all that kind of homework so that we can bring these experiences and this empathy to our characters. Then we started going really in depth with, here, I have another copy of this because we're using it in our voice class with George. So, now is the winter of our discontent. Okay? Yeah, and so we broke it all down and we started really like looking at it. So the iambic pentameter can elevate your performance, right? We're detectives. If we can figure out what Shakespeare is telling us, we'll unlock the play. Yeah, so we just took the time one by one reading a line or a thought and really emphasizing and overemphasizing the iambic pentameter, and not worrying about trochees and different changes, but just like seeing what serves us, because Kirsty doesn't have a ton of the academic formal education because she got hired in the middle of drama school and then has worked consistently. So she has a ton of practical and applicable knowledge. And so she's like, this is all here to serve you. Like, just because it's a trochee or just because of this intellectual idea and reasoning behind me isn't always playable. So you don't want to play that idea, but you want to play the action. What is serviceable to you? So we would just go, now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by the son of York. And we like went out, now is the winter of our discontent. 10, perfect. And then one that's like longer, what we looked into it. So where's like to fight the souls of fearful adversaries, right? So it's 11th. That one has a weaker female ending or soft ending. There's lots of different terms. That one was especially difficult. Let's do our stern alarms change to merry meetings, right? That has 11. And so you look and see if you can fit it in, and if not, you can use that. Yeah, so we plowed through that and took our time with it. And then we talked about vowels as well. I don't know if we started doing this yet. But vowels carry our emotions and consonants carry our thoughts. So these open vowels are very emotional, but then when we're very specific about what we're feeling, we really emphasize the consonants. You know, like she mentions how Lady Macbeth is so but then somebody, I don't know, like Romeo is probably very emotional, right? Judi Dench says if it's hard to say, it's because it's hard to say, meaning that like it's bad writing is sometimes just bad writing, but we know that Shakespeare isn't bad writing, so we have to find out like how is it easy to say, you know? Then, when doing the patterns and such, always ask two things, right? Doing the ba 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 ba, the iambic pentameter. One, is it playable, right? Is it interesting? Is it dramatic, right? So, for example, the first line, now is the winter of our discontent. That's could be played as a trochee, meaning that the first foot, the first iamb, now is switched to a trochee. So now is the winter, right? So now is the winter of our discontent, right? If it switches back, but now is, so focusing on the now, the moment. Is that playable? Yeah. Well, Richard could be talking about now is the problem. I wonder though, because if you emphasize too much now, it's talking, it feels like, I don't know, I get this idea that like it's in this moment, but he's trying to put that aside because now is the summer of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York, meaning his brother Edward. But then he talks about how this peacetime and everything is this piping peace, he says at one point, and how this is just it's unuseful to him because he can't find anything, any purpose, any love, or anything in it. So you think if it's playable. Second is it understandable to an audience? Because like I could have this great idea and be like, oh, I want to influence this with the idea that whatever happened, like now is the summer of our discontent. Like maybe I want to change to emphasize the pronoun our. Is that a pronoun? I think so. Our. It's a possessive pronoun. Us, we, our, mine. Yeah. And so if I did that, it's like emphasizing that it's ours, but I don't know, this isn't really making sense, but just ask yourself if the choice is understandable to an audience, or is it like multifaceted, just intellectual and good to know, but not to play. And luckily, this isn't about right and wrong. It's all up to the interpretation, which is great because that's what allows us to kind of be in control. Then we took a 10-minute break. Then we continued down the first monologue, just going one by one by one. And something you really need to... sometimes you really need to earn your next line, because I think I don't even remember. I was just writing these ideas, but we read it just first, and then we just trudged through the iambic, seeing if it meant anything. And then, no, I think we just went straight into the iambic, and asking like what it meant. But yeah, so sometimes you really need to earn the next line. So if the next line says like, "Why are you yelling at me?" and you're like, "I hate you. Why are you yelling at me?" Right? Then you haven't earned that line because you're not even yelling at them. Simple idea. Also, don't get caught up in the technical aspects when looking at it like an actor. What's useful, right? We can do all this work, and that's great. We really want to do that, and it's important to do that, to know how the iambic serves you, to know how it informs the character and the choices. But when you get up to perform it, remember it's about what is useful. Then we broke for lunch after just going through it. We continued after lunch working on it. Anything that's like a list, remember to build it up, right? So it starts on, I don't know if there's a good list in this one. Oh, as I am subtle, false, and treacherous. It's a really short list. But Shakespeare loves to write these long lists, and so you need to have a place to build. So start off soft and small and build as this idea. Buckingham has one when he's talking about I don't remember. I probably can't find it. But yeah, he has one where he's like praising Richard. So make sure that you can build that. And something that a director said to Kirsty once about like the iambic pentameter or some rule is you can't throw it. A line, I think. It was just a line. She's like, but I threw that away. Because there are some things that are just like, not everything is important, you know? Like some things just mean like, what's up? Or how now kind of a thing. And the director says you can't throw it away unless you've gotten it. So you need to understand it, and then you can throw it away. You can't just throw it away because you don't get it. And then always ask the question, can I play that? Or is it just an intellectual, psychological idea, right? If it's not playable, it's not serviceable. It's good to know, but then, pack that away. There's a point and a purpose to the iambic, and we need to look at it and recognize its potential benefit to us, the actor, right? She mentioned she did King Lear with Ian McKellen, and she said there was this one time, like 6 months into the performing, that he was looking at this line that was like, never, 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 never. And he was like, and he said how he stayed up till 4, just seeing if he could fit it into the iambic pentameter and say, never, 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 right? To make it fit as da-da instead of the trochee. Never, never, never. And, and he's like been doing this forever. And so he's always checking to see if the iambic can serve him better or if it fits. So after the scansion, after we broke it down with everything, really overemphasizing it to see what it is. Our bruised arms hung up for monuments. Our stern alarums changed to merry meetings. Yeah. Our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim visage war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now instead of mounting barbed steeds, to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I that am rudely stamped and want love's majesty. That one's a hexameter. It's 12. Which you can use sometimes. Anyway, so you can just like really break it down. And then after the scansion, we must do the parsing and understand the ideas, not just a translation. Don't just get like word for word, but also you don't want generals, you want the specifics. So, right? Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York. So that's the idea. What does that mean? Well, see, it's not that we're in this discontented. See, that's why I almost don't want to emphasize now, because now is the summer of our discontent that is made glorious, that is turned and made into a glorious summer by this son of York, meaning Edward, right? So Edward has made the winter discontent. I wonder if son of York might also refer to Richard. I could play with that. But right, so that's the idea. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York. So I don't want to get stuck in like, now is the winter of our discontent. Because it's Richard's discontent, but for everyone else, it's this glorious time. They just won and they established the king and it's happy howdy-doody, right? So then you want to transcribe that by ideas. But if you just do the idea, it's like, oh, life is bad. Life was bad, now it's good because of Edward. If you said that, then you don't have the specific words to help you in it. Hopefully this is making sense. But right now, the sorrow of our day is made better, like summer, by Edward, who is the son of York. And all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried, and all the sorrow and clouds that were about the house of York, that were lowered upon the house, are now in they have now been buried and thrown into the deep ocean, right? So you want to break it down because I know I wrote this down. Don't generalize the parsing because you'll lose the use of the words to pursue specific objectives, right? If it's too general, then you'll lose those clear objectives. Then we have some homework. So she wants us to do all iambic scansion for our scenes and translate all of the scenes like we just did. Not just our lines, but the lines of our whole scene, because we need to know what the other people are saying as well, which is perfectly delightful. It makes great sense, which is going to be a lot of work. And also still start memorizing. Then she said, be prepared to improvise scenes in our own words, because she finds a lot of benefit from that, because that just helps you get the sense of it a lot better. Then we had a quick little 10-minute break, and then we read the last... Oh yeah, we read just the last word of each scene. So discontent, York, house, buried, wreaths, monuments, meetings, measures, front, steeds, adversaries, chamber, lute, tricks, glass, majesty, nymph, proportion, nature, my time. Oh, time, up, unfashionable, them, peace, time, sun, deformity, lover, days, villain, days, dangerous, dreams, king, other, just, treacherous, up, G, B comes, right? Because a lot of the time in iambic pentameter, you're leading towards the last line, and that's like the focus and important line. Then she had a new exercise for us to do, which is say the text in iambic rhythm and throw something up on the last phrase. Like, for example, now is the summer of our discontent made glorious summer by the son of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of ocean buried, right? So you toss it up when you say the last word, and you catch it on the first word of the next line. And be really rigorous. Make sure you do it right. If you mess it up, go again. And this is actually going to be homework for us. And then we also did the vowels of each line. So now is the winter of our discontent. Right? Now is the... And so you say it first. Now is the winter of our discontent. And then do it really on the iambic too. And then have the fluidity to it. Right? Kind of focusing on that iambic. And then say it one more time. Now is the winter of our discontent. And then opens up the vowels, like helps you just really get into them. And then you do it with consonants. And the consonant way is fun. Oh. Right, so you don't breathe and you just enunciate the specific consonants as much as you can. Right? Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York. And so that kind of helps bring out your consonants too. And then also, we went through doing the vowels with every single person and then doing consonants with every single person. One that we didn't do with every single person, but she says is a great one, to do it with your tongue out. Now, the glorious summer by the son of... Now is the winter of our discontent. May glorious summer by the son of York. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York. It helps you with diction and clarity. Yeah. And the further out on the line, the better. Also, don't worry about the struggle. Don't think, just go for it. And then, so yeah, we're doing the throwing exercise, the vowels, the tongue. That's more homework. And then she also wants us to do the super objectives, the scenic objectives, and the obstacles, internal and external, and the action for each line if you want to get really on top of it. And then we talked a little bit about a caesura, which is, in her experiential definition, is a suspension, a hesitation, a thought, right? It's not necessarily a full stop, even though textually it means a full stop in the middle of a sentence. I don't know if there is one in this. I don't see one. But it's when there is a period in the middle of a sentence, or a full stop. I don't know if I see one. Nope. These are just our prologues. But, in Henry VIII, it says, "Will we be deceived? Period. Full stop. For gentle hearers, no." That's the line. So that's a caesura, meaning that there's that stop in the middle of the line. But she says practically you can put one where you want it, and you don't always need to trust the punctuation, because the first folio had different punctuation, and nobody even knows if that is right. You know, Shakespeare didn't write the first folio, so you can use the text you're given. But then if you want to do a stop, or you want to put in a caesura, hesitation, or whatever it may be that you want to add to it, don't be afraid to do that. But then just like have a reason for it, have it be justified, and negotiate that with your director. And then a reminder about antitheses, because all these exercises help point out assonance, alliteration, and antitheses. And then she asked us to be off book by Tuesday, which is a week. She's like, "You have the weekend." I was like, "Okay, cool." So that is my great job to do. Anyway, that was the day. It was long. It was tedious. It was great. And then she let us go a little early to work on scenes with individuals. I really wanted to try to get my first scene memorized. I got 8 lines. I can do 8 lines, can't I? By Thursday, because we might work on that scene on Thursday, and then get the rest of it. So I'm just going to start working on these lines a lot. But yeah, that was the great day. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful life day, for a moment in time. Bye.